Hare Krishna, please accept my full obeisances of glories to Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining today in our ongoing discussion of the Veda. So we'll start with our Mangalacharan, and then after that we'll continue with our discussion. So today we will be resuming from 1-8-30. Okay, so we'll start with Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Udire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunvadi Paschatya Satarane. Okay, so we'll start, we'll resume prayers of Queen Kunti, 1-8-30. Janma karma cha vishvatma najasya karturatmanaha triyanashishu yadashu tattatyanta vidambanam. Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you're inactive, and that you take birth though you're the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. So Kunti Devi is continuing on the theme of the bewilderment amongst people because of the pastimes of Krishna. So in the previous verse, he had said, Na Veda Kaschit Bhagavan's Chikarshitam, that no one can understand the transcendental pastimes of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And what does she say in this verse? She says that your activities, so although they are transcendental, but they still parallel those of human beings. And thus they mislead others into thinking that you're an ordinary man. So how can one understand you when you are eternal, when you are unborn, but you're taking birth amongst men and sages and aquatics? And then she says, this is really bewildering. So previously when she said, Na Veda Kaschit Bhagavan Chitkit Shatam, so maybe we can switch the view. Prem Kishore Prabhu. Thank you. So when she, in the previous, when she said, Na Veda Kaschit Bhagavan Chitkit Shatam, so she said that no one can understand the pastimes of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So Krishna as the personality of Godhead. In this verse, she talks about the additional bewilderment caused by Krishna as Vishvatman. So Vishvatman is Vishva is the universe. So who is Vishvatman? Vishvatma is Paramatma. So he is the life of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the Shredakshaya Vishnu, Karnodakshaya Vishnu. They are all Vishvatmans of the respective creations. And then Akarutu Atman. So akaratu is the inactive self. So which is the inactive self? That is the impersonal Brahman. So in this verse, she is presenting both the bewildering aspect of Brahman and Paramatma, and she will also subsequently talk about the further bewilderment of the 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 the, even the more rasika aspect of Krishna. So she talks about Bhagwan, Paramatma, and Brahman, and then she will talk about even more bewildering pastime of Krishna as a baby. So she had said that Krishna is atyanta vidambana, that he cause a lot of confusion. And Krishna might say, how can you say that I cause confusion? Give me an example. So she says, sure. She says that you are ajasya, that you're unborn, yet you are janma. You appear to take birth. You are inactive, akaruta, as the Brahman, yet you are the vital force, atmana. Vital force means that vital so force means activity. Whenever there is force, there is action that comes out of it. So atmana, vital force. She says then you are Vishwatman, the soul of the universe. But yet you descend as Triyak, as animals, as Nara, human, as sages, Rishishu, and as aquatics, as Yadashu. So she says this is the Atyanta Vidambana. Now, of course, Kunti Devi is presenting this as bewildering, which they are, but the acharyas, because of the realizations, they also help us understand this Vidambana. They also help us understand that how can Krishna be Ajasya and Janma at the same time? Or rather, why does the unborn take birth? So I just want to hear from you. Can you give some reasons? Why is Krishna, who is unborn, appears as, and this is the and I'm sure you've all encountered the Vidambanam part of it, right? That I remember once I was talking to one of my relatives, and he was asking me that Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. So, or rather, he said Krishna was born 5,000 years ago. Who was God before 5,000? And then his confusion was valid, and his confusion was valid because his perspective was that yes, Krishna took birth 5,000 years ago. So more than 5,000 years ago, there was no Krishna. So who was God? If you're saying that there is God, so there is where the unborn and the taking birth cause confusion. So let's see if you can share a few reasons of why does the unborn take birth.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's for Leela. Leela?
It's for Leela. So another meaning of Leela is, so Leela means pastimes.
Yes, so and then we know that Lord Vishnu we know Lord Vishnu is four-handed, and we will never see a little Lord Vishnu, little Lord Vishnu with four hands. This we have never seen all this.
So he appears for his Leela, which means that he appears to enact pastimes. And pastimes means that he appears to enact pastimes with his
devotees.
So that's one reason. Very good. What else?
That Bhagavad Gita words, Prabhu, Paritranaya Sadhu Nam Vinashaya Dushkrutam Dharma Samsthapanartha. Three reasons why Krishna appears to protect the sadhus, to annihilate the miscreants, and to establish the religious principles.
Correct, correct. Thank you. So he comes to establish his. He comes to he comes to accomplish his mission. He also comes to bewilder the atheists, because the atheists do get bewildered when they see the unborn taking birth, and and that is one of the things that Krishna enjoys doing, bewildering the atheist. And ultimately, Prabhupada says that he comes because he wants to. That is because of his free will. So let's move on. That Kunti Devi then says that how can it be that you are active but yet you are inactive? So how do we understand that?
So inactive as Paramatma, being a neutral, and active as the incarnations who come and do pastimes and do all sorts of transcendental activities.
So the Paramatma is not inactive, right? Because the Brahman is inactive. Why would you say that the Paramatma is inactive? I can just see a very small part of your eyes, Prabhu. I don't know if you're doing that for effect or.
No, Prabhu. I think my table has a problem, so I have to find a better one. I don't have one right now, so sorry, Prabhu.
No worries, no worries. So I'm thinking of that verse, Prabhu, right in the 13th chapter, Upadrastanu mantascha bharta bhukta maheshwara, that it's the Paramatma Upadrastanu mantrascha, that he's the one who gives the permission, he's the one that gives the motivation. Through him all the actions are performed. Actually, it is said that the Paramatma is the one that is actually performing all the actions. The Jiva is the one that is inactive. Because the Jiva, all the Jiva does it desires. Now, you can say that the Paramatma is desireless. That part is accurate. But effectively, it's the Paramatma that is the active force between the universe. Like Prabhupada says that when Lord Vishnu, when Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he leaves the universe, then the universe collapses. Because the active force within the universe is no longer there. Because of him, the planets are floating. Because of him, the wind's blowing. Because of him, the elements. So he is the supremely active force.
Yes, Prabhu, you are right. I think Brahman, Supreme Brahman, is the inactive.
The Supreme Brahman. Yeah. That I would agree. So when he says that I'm active and inactive, he makes that. Or is there anybody else that would like to share?
Yeah, Priji, I was thinking like inactive in the sense that he's not directly managing the affairs of this material world. In that sense.
Close. So yes, close. So my understanding was that he's inactive because he's unaffected. And Krishna makes this point in the 4th chapter a few times, that I'm the doer, yet I'm the undoer. Like that word, what's that verse? Chaturvanya maya seshta guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram api nam. That, I've created these 4 modes, and even though I do all of this, know me to be the non-doer. And the reason that Prabhupada gives is that even though Krishna is doing all this, he is still the non-doer, because he is neither attached to the work nor is he attached to the fruits of the work. So the whole concept of nishkam karma, that if you do work with complete detachment, then you are simultaneously the doer and the the doer and the non-doer. And so that's one understanding of how Krishna is the doer and the non-doer. And the implicit question that Kunti Devi asks, that that why is he even the doer? And Krishna says, at least in the 3rd chapter, he says, I'm the doer because I set an example for others. Right? Remember that verse? I forget the Sanskrit, but he says that the whole world would be put in ruination if I were not to follow the regulative principles. So he's a doer for that reason also. That when Krishna came as Krishna, he followed the principles. He would get up in the morning and pray, perform yajna, take care of his family, etc. And he said the reason I did was that if I didn't, then people would follow my path in that way, and the world would be in ruination. Then he says that I descend amongst animals, humans, sages, and aquatics. So, what are the forms of Krishna that descend amongst humans?
Krishna himself and Lord Ram.
Krishna, Ram, Parshuram, Kalki, Vamandev. Amongst, what about sages?
Vyasadev.
Vyasadev. Who else?
Narayan Rishi.
Very good. Narayan Rishi. Narayan Rishi is Jiva. Narayan Rishi is Krishna. Narayan Rishi, Vyasadev, Dattatreya. Amongst animals,
Varahadev, Kurmadev.
Varahadev, Kurmadev, Narsimadev, Anantashesh.
Narsimadev, we don't know, half human, half lion.
Yes. So he further confuses that.
Yeah.
The Hamsa avatar. Aquatics is subcategory of animals.
But, yeah.
So Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar. So why does he do that? Why does he come as in the form of an animal? And the reason is that he comes in a form that is, and this is a discussion that happened in the context of Prabhupada explains in the context of Kurma. Varadev, because generally speaking, a boar is an unclean animal. And why did Krishna come as a boar? And he says that he comes in a form that is most suitable to accomplish the mission. And because the earth was at the bottom of the Garbhoda ocean, and the board is specially situated to pick up something, to search amongst dirty places, and that's why Krishna came as Vara. When the whole universe was inundated with water, Krishna came as Matsya. When the benedictions given by Lord Brahma were difficult to accomplish, Krishna comes as Narsingadev. So even though we may try and understand, and really speaking, even when we try and explain this apparent contradiction, the reason we are able to accept it is because we accept the source. We accept Prabhupada saying that. We can always say that, why did Krishna come as Varadev? He could come as Krishna, and with a glance he could have lifted the earth. Or with his flute he could have kept the Saptrishis afloat, and that would have been perfectly fine. But we accept it because we accept the explanation of the Acharyas. At the end of the day, Lord Jiva Goswami says that Kunti Devi is making this point to reinforce in us that you should accept that Krishna is inconceivable. And when you accept that Krishna is inconceivable, only then will you start to understand Krishna. Okay, we'll go to the next verse. Any questions, comments on this?
Prabhu, just a comment about the animal. Is that also for us to pay respect to the animal? Because also all the demigod has a painted animal, like a pet. Not a pet exactly.
Like a carrier.
Yeah, like Lord Shiva has Nandi, Muruga has
Peacock.
Kartikeya has peacock, and Ganga has a crocodile. Saraswati has what Saraswati has?
A lotus flower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're different. They're not Krishna, right? They're not incarnations of Krishna. Okay. Anything else? Gopya dade tvai krita gasidam tavad yate dasashrukalil anjan samavramaksham vaktram ninya bhava nayastitasya samam vimoyati bhir apiyadibeti. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. The sight is bewildering to me. So Kunti Devi in the last two verses has expressed Atyant Vidambanam at Krishna as Brahman, as Paramatma, as Krishna. And now she talks about the even more intimate aspect of Krishna interacting with his very close associates. And Kunti Devi, she herself is in Vatsalya Ras, but she is sharing her bewilderment at the pastime Krishna has with another more advanced devotee of Krishna who's in a similar parental mood. So she addresses her as Gopi. And based on the pastime, we can understand that she's talking about Mother Yashoda, and she's talking about the Damodar Leela. So she's talking about, in the verse, she's talking about it almost as if she has witnessed it. Like she says that, the sight is bewildering to me. And the reason, and the acharyas give different reasons. One is that, so in Brihad Bhagavatamrita it is explained that for the residents in Dwarka, which is where Kunti Devi comes, Rohini Devi was the main supplier of the Krishna's childhood pastimes. So, and when she described it, she described in a way that everybody could almost witness it. So that is one explanation. That's why she's saying that she witnessed it. Some acharyas give the explanation that Kunti Devi was actually present in Gokul at the time. So this pastime happened in Gokul because Kunti Devi is obviously the sister of Vasudeva, who is the brother of Nanda Maharaj. So the Acharya said it is expected that Kunti Devi would have been visiting her brother, and the Damodar Leela happened during the time she was there. So she had actually bewildered by it. So regardless of it, it's whether she witnessed it through Rohini Devi or she witnessed it, she is describing the fact that the activities of Krishna in relationship to Yashoda are completely bewildering. And the Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this crying of Krishna, the act of Krishna becoming fearful, was genuine, which is why Kunti Devi is mentioning it. If he was play acting, if he was Bhagwan who was participating in the Leela, then a devotee of the caliber of Kunti Devi would not mention it. Right? So sometimes there's a father playing with a child, and the child comes and says, child comes like that to scare the father, and the father pretends to be scared. Then it's play acting. The wife will look at the father and, and the wife won't be concerned. Knows the father is play acting. But Kunti Devi, when she looks at Krishna, she understands that Krishna's tears are real. Krishna's fear is real. And that is why she says, Vimayati, that this is completely bewildering, that there is this gopi, this simple cowherd woman, who's interacting with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the whole universe is contained within Krishna. Yet, this gopi, who is within the universe, that is within Krishna, is tying a rope around Krishna. She said, that bewilders me. Then she says, Krishna as Tavyakritagasi, that you created an offense. Krishna is the embodiment of dharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. How can he create an offense? That is bewildering. And then Krishna is crying in fear. Dasa ashru kalila. The tears are flowing from his eyes. Yet Kunti Devi says, Bhirapi yad viveti, that you're feared by fear personified. So fear personified is considered to be Yamraj. And Krishna and Yamraj is feared by Krishna. We see that during the Ajamel pastime, where not only Krishna but even Vishnu Dutas, Yamraj is saying, don't go near them. And when Krishna went looking for the son of Sandipani Muni, the Yamraj quickly came running and he worshipped him. So this is Krishna, who's feared by fear personified, but yet he is apiyad bibet. He's completely fearful. So both Kunti Devi and Yashoda are eternal associates of Krishna. They are parishads. So devotees are either parishads or sadhakas. So we have sadhakas and they're parishads. Both are in Vatsalya Rasa. Yet Kunti Devi is bewildered. Why is that? So that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says is that we can get some sense because we see that Kunti Devi is addressing Krishna as Bhirapiyat Bhiveti, that you are feared by fear personified. So what does that mean? That means that Kunti Devi is acknowledging the supremacy of Krishna. She is acknowledging that Krishna is God. Only God can be feared by fear personified. So the Vatsalya Ras of Kunti Devi is mixed with Aishwarya Bhava. So while she considers Krishna to be her nephew, she is also aware of Krishna as God. And we see that more in this prayer only. Yashoda Mai, she has no sense of Krishna being God. When there were all these pastimes happening in Vrindavan and Krishna doing all this thing, Yashoda Mai never accepted the fact that Krishna was doing it. She would sometimes think that Nand Baba is doing it. She would sometimes say the demigods are doing it. Sometimes she would say Lord Narayan is doing it. She never accepted Krishna as doing it. So Kunti Devi is a very exalted devotee. She has this sense that I belong to Krishna. Very, very exalted stage. Yashoda Mai is an even more exalted devotee. She has this sense that Krishna belongs to me. So she runs after, she thinks that if I don't feed Krishna, Krishna will go hungry. If I don't bathe Krishna, Krishna will move around dirty in the house. So the reason Kunti Devi is talking about this pastime is, and she's not boasting, but the Acharyas say that Kunti Devi is saying that I'm a parishad of Krishna. I am an eternal associate of Krishna in Vatsalya Ras. Yet I am bewildered by this Damodar pastime. So what to speak about the sadhakas, the practicing devotees, and what to speak about the atheists, the one who are not devotees? Do we have a sense of how much will they be bewildered? So in a way what she's bringing our attention and Krishna's attention to is that there are pastimes that can be explained, but there are some pastimes that can only be accepted on a platform of bhakti. So it is said that when Krishna, so in this it is Kunti Devi says that Kali Lanjana Sam Pramaksham, that so Anjan is the ointment in the eye, the kajal, and she says the Anjan in your eyes, it dissolved with your tears of fear, and then it streaked down your cheeks, and that Anjan that is dissolved in the tears of fear from Yashoda Mai comes into the eyes of his devotees. And what does that Anjan become when it comes in the eyes of the devotees? It becomes Premanjana Churuti Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hrideshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamma Bhajami. So that with that ointment of love, when the devotees look at, then they are able to understand the inconceivable Krishna. Okay, questions, comments? Okay, so we'll go on to the next verse, 8:32. So we'll do 1:832. Kechadahurajam jatam punnashlokasya kirtaye yada priyasyan vavaye malaya swa chandanam. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of his dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malay hills. So previously, Kunti Devi had presented several aspects of Krishna that are inconceivable. How can he be inactive and active? How can he be unborn and appear? So now she tries to answer one of the conundrums that she places is that how can the unborn be born? And next three, 1, 2, 3 or 4 verses, she presents different alternatives as to why does the unborn take birth. So she says, Kecharahu Rajam Jata. That somebody may say that the unborn has taken birth, but why? So Kunti Devi offers the first proposition, Punnashlokasya Kirtaya, to glorify those who are pious. So Punnashlokasya has two meanings, and both of them are relevant here. Punnashlokasya is another name for Maharaj Yudhishthira. So the verse then reads that he takes birth to glorify Maharaj Yudhishthira. Punnashlokasya is also means pious kings. So in a more generic way, it means that he appears in the family of pious kings to glorify them. and Kirtaye Yadaha, to glorify the family of King Yadu. So the Pandavas, as you know, they are descendants of not the Pandavas, I'm sorry, the Yaduvanshis. They're descendants of King Yadu. So also he appears to glorify the descendants of King Yadu. So Kunti Devi, she calls Krishna's devotees as Punyashlokas, yeah, and one of Krishna's name is Uttam Shloka. So Uttam Shloka is one who is glorified by choice verses, the best of the verses. So Krishna is Uttam Shloka, who is glorified by choice verses, and his devotees are Punya Shloka, who recite these Punya pious verses. So that is the Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that is the intimate relationship between Krishna and his devotees. Krishna is defined with respect to his devotees. The Uttam Shloka is glorified by the Punya Shlokas, and the purpose of the Punya Shloka is to glorify the Uttam Shloka. So Prabhupada in the purport, he writes, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says he takes his birth in the material world, although he is the Lord of all creations, and he is unborn. So there cannot be any denial of the birth of the unborn, because he himself establishes this truth. So this particular verse, the Prabhupada, he does not call it specifically. When Krishna says that he takes in the material birth in the material world, although he is the Lord of all creation. This appears in the 4th chapter. 6th verse, Ajo apisan avyatma bhutna nam ishvara pisan. That although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, I am the Lord of every entities. I appear in every millenniums. So Kunti Devi is offering one reason, that Krishna is appearing to glorify his devotees. The Punya Shloka is appearing to glorify the Uttam Shloka is appearing to glorify the Punya Shloka. Krishna is appearing to glorify Yudhishthir, or the pious kings. Krishna is appearing to glorify Maharaj Yadu. Or in a more generic way, Krishna is appearing to glorify his devotees. And then Kunti Devi uses a very interesting analogy. She says, Anvavya Malayasya Iva Chandanam, that you appear in their family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya forests. So Gaur Sundar Prabhu, where is the Malaya forests situated?
Malaysia.
So that is one of the things that Krishna says. It is also said to be Malaigiri, the forest around Malaigiri, which is the Malay region, the region around Karnataka, according to some understanding. But regardless of where it is situated, the point is being made that Krishna appears there just as sandalwood trees appears in the Malay forest. So there are two possible ways that these are understood. One is that Malaigiri is famous because the sandalwood trees appear over there. So these devotees, these families, the family of Yudhishthir Maharaj, Yaduvanshis, they become glorious because Krishna appears over there. And that is the reason why Krishna appears, to glorify his devotees. Another reason or another way to understand it is that Krishna appears in these families because they are glorious. And Prabhupada explains that because Krishna, so he says that a sandalwood tree can appear anywhere, but it chooses to appear in the Malaigiri because the conditions there are favorable to it, or it likes the condition in the Malai forest. So Krishna is free to appear anywhere, but he chooses to appear in the family of his devotees because it pleases him to do so. And then Prabhupada extends this by saying that is why Krishna appears in the family of his devotees. That is why Krishna performs his pastimes so once somebody, a devotee, a disciple asked Prabhupada that all of Krishna's pastimes are in India. If Krishna is the Lord of the universe, why didn't he perform pastimes in America? Why isn't there a pastime of him taking bath in the Potomac River or on Niagara Falls? And Prabhupada's, so that part the disciple didn't ask that, I'm just adding that for frivolity. But the essence of the question was that. And then Prabhupada says that Krishna will appear where his devotees are there. So because his devotees are there in the Bharatvarsha, then Krishna appears over there. Now that is not to say Krishna does not appear anywhere else. He appears in a form that is suitable. So he appears in the West, and he appears in a form, or he appears as a Shaktivesh avatar of Lord Jesus, or as the prophet, and that's the form that is suitable. But Krishna as Swayam Bhagavan, he has his devotees in Bharatvarsha, and that's where he appears. Now, of course, Prabhupada does not ever say anything unless it is scripturally correct. So when I heard this, then I kind of wanted to look and see that where is this reference coming from. And actually, if you look at the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, in the prayers by the residents of Jambudvip, there is a verse that the demigods recite when they pray to Krishna. So this is 5:19:21, and then they say that how wonderful it is for the human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatvarsha. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharatvarsh to execute devotional service. But these human beings are already engaged over there. And then one verse down from there, the demigods continue to glorify Bharatvarsh. They say a short life in the land of Bharatvarsh is preferable to a life achieved in Brahmalok for millions of billions of years, because even if one is elevated to Brahmalok, he must return to repeated birth and death. And although life in Bharatvarsh in a lower planetary system is very short, one who lives there can elevate himself to full Krishna consciousness and achieve the highest perfection, even in this short life, by fully surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, one attains Vaikuntha Lok, where there is neither anxiety nor repeated birth in a material body. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu, he says exactly the same essence. This is in Adi Leela 941. He says, Bharata Bhumite Hole Manushya Janmayara Janma Sartak Kari Kara Paropkara. That one who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsh, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all people. And then he goes on to say that why one should do this, why this work of benefit is beneficial to the person and to everybody around also. So to summarize, in this verse, Kunti Devi is saying that Krishna appears to glorify his devotees, and he appears out of his free will, and by his appearance the devotees are glorified, and he's attracted by the glories of the devotees to appear in their family. Okay, questions, comments?
The devotees are Mohini, the attractor of Krishna.
That is true. That is true.
So Garsunda Prabhu, you have better chance than us to perfect this life.
Why is that?
He's logging from India, Prabhuji. He's already moved.
Oh, right. I forgot. You're in Bharatvarsh now, huh?
She's teasing me, Prabhu.
Well, I think what Prabhupada is talking about is if you're born in Bharatvarsh, it doesn't matter whether you hold a green card or where you're living. There.
I don't know about all that, Prabhu. It's all filled with mosquitoes and ants and lizards.
So where exactly are you, Gaurasundar Prabhu?
Trivandrum, Kerala.
Trivandrum. Okay.
It's near Kanyakumari, all the way down south.
Ah, very nice. Very nice. So thank you for logging back. We missed you last week. I guess you were traveling at the time.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? So we'll do the next verse, 1:833. Apareva sudevasya devakyam yachita bhagyat ajastvam asya kshemaya vadhaya cha suradvisham. Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn. Yet you take your birth for their welfare, and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. So Kunti Devi is giving the second reason as to why Krishna, even though he is unborn, appears to take birth. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, it is also said that Vasudeva and Devaki, in the previous verse, as Sutapa and Prishni, underwent a severe type of penance to get the Lord as their son. And as a result of such austerities, the Lord appeared as their son. It is already declared in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears for the welfare of all people of the world and to vanquish the asuras or the materialistic atheists. So Kunti Devi, she's offering another reason why Krishna appears to take birth, because his devotees ask him to. So she is bringing forth Krishna's mood of Bhakta Vatsalya. So in the previous verse, he was naturally attracted by the qualities of the devotees. In this verse, he is being forced by the devotees. So in the previous verse, Krishna had some amount of free will. So that's why that particular verse was, Prabhupada talks about the particular verse, that the sandalwood trees are free to appear, yet they choose to appear in the Malaigiri, in this verse, Krishna does not have a choice. So his mood of Bhaktivatsalya is so strong that the devotees say, please do this. And then Krishna, he is obliged to follow their instructions. The particular example that is given here is that of Sutap and Prishni. So they were Prajapatis. And after they got married, so in one of his lectures, Ramput Maharaj, he kind of has a kind of a humorous take on it. So he says that Sutap and Prishni, they get married, and what happens after you get married? You go for a honeymoon. So where do they go for honeymoon? So they go to the forest and they perform austerity for 1,000 years. So that's their honeymoon. So Prishni says to Sutapa that now that we are married, my dear husband, what should we do? And he says, well, let's go and perform austerities for 1,000 years. And she says, very good, great idea. So Maharaj says that not sure if that's the formula for successful marriage in this present day and age, but it obviously worked for Prishni and Sutta. So after performing severe austerities for 1,000 years, Lord Vishnu appears before them. So this pastime is in the 10th canto, 3rd chapter. And he appears before them and he says, how can I help you? What do you want? He says that we want you to be our son. And he says, Tathastu, Tathastu, Tathastu. So be it, so be it, so be it. So this part of the 3 Tathastus is not there in the Bhagavatam. It's there in some of the other Puranas. And the Acharyas generally, they whenever they talk about the Bhagavatam pastime, they also talk about this. But later on, in the 10th canto, 1st chapter, where the Krishna's appearance pastime for as Devaki and Vasudeva is there. So if you recollect, when Krishna appears, when he is born, then what is the form that he takes when he is born? He appears as Lord Vishnu. He appears in the 400 form, very opulently, very, very, very opulently dressed. And then he reminds Devaki and Vasudeva of this particular pastime. The previous verse, you were Sutap and Prishni. You performed austerities. I came, I gave you the benediction. At that time, I appeared as your son by the name of Prishni Garbha. And then you took birth again, and then I again appeared as your son. So does anybody know what was the second birth of Prishni and Sutap?
Vamandev.
As the parents of Vamandev. So they appeared as Kashyap, Rishi and Aditi. And you say you appear as Kashyap and Aditi, and then I appear as your son as Vaman. And then you have taken birth again as Devaki and Vasudeva, and now I am appearing again. But he says that now I am appearing in my original form as Krishna. So Krishna is appearing because his devotees ask him to appear. And it's also interesting that the very first appearance of Krishna as Prishni Garbha is apparently something unique that happens only in this universe. It does not happen in any other universe. So Prishni Garbha is the form of Krishna that actually appears in front of Lord Dhruva, Maharaj Dhruva also. So when Dhruva is performing benediction, the Lord Vishnu comes in front of him. That is actually Prishni Garbha. And in the Garg Samhita, it is mentioned that when Lord Brahma and all the devas they go to Golok, they're stopped at the gate by by an attendant, Satya Chandranana. And then she says that, which universe are you coming from? Brahma says, I don't know. I just know my own universe. And then Lord Vishnu is accompanying him. He said that we come from that universe where Prishnigarbha appeared. And we come from that universe where Lord Trivikrama, by his toenail, pierced the covering of the universe and Ganges came down. So by these two things, she was able to understand that of the millions of universes that are there, which particular universe they are coming back. She says, okay, now I know. Now you can come in. So Kunti Devi is saying, Ajastvamasya, that you are unborn, yet you take birth. So a question that I'd like to ask you is that why is Kunti Devi repeatedly glorifying or calling out to Krishna as unborn? Because we are all unborn, right? One of the very first things in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna says about the soul is that nato evam jatuna, never was the time you did not exist. Never was the time that I did not exist. So we are both unborn. And in the later verses, he keeps making this point that never was that the soul is eternal. But yet, so we can also say that, right? We are the unborn who's taking birth. And so what's so great about Krishna? We are also unborn. The soul is unborn, and just like Krishna is born from Devaki, we are born from our parents. So why is Kunti Devi glorifying this as, or pointing out this as one of the bewildering characteristics of Krishna?
Is it related to Parikshit Maharaj that he saved the unborn child in the womb of Uttara?
I don't follow your line of reasoning. Do you want to expand on that, Achyuta?
Like he saved Parikshit Maharaj, like, I mean, as an unborn, like Parikshit Maharaj was unborn, and then that is like bewildering to her. So in that sense,
I see what you mean. Maybe that's not the answer I'm looking for.
Prabhu, we are embodied soul. I mean, we need a body. The body is material. And as Krishna, his body and his soul is the same.
So while what you say is true, but that would basically lessen the bewilderment, right? So Kunti Devi is presenting this as bewildering, that the unborn is taking birth.
Yeah, but
Krishna's body is spiritual, which you are saying is right. Then it should not bewilder Kunti Devi, because he's spiritual, he's coming as spiritual, everything is okay.
Basically, the reason I see, Prabhu, is Krishna is born. Basically, the soul is eternal, but yet it is unborn. So Krishna is giving birth, is born with the unborn. Is that the bewilderment?
Say that again, Prabhu.
Okay, the soul is eternal, which is never, which is unborn, basically, right? So Krishna is born with an unborn. You see that?
I don't. Maybe if somebody else can explain this point a little bit more.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was just thinking, is it because Krishna really doesn't even have to take birth? His birth is not like our birth, you know. He appears and then he could just appear. He doesn't have to be born.
Thank you, Mataji. So that's the point. That is bewildering to Kunti Devi, that most of us, or almost all of us, we are forced to take birth. So Krishna's birth is apparently just like ours. It's a seminal birth. He has a mother, he has a father, and he takes birth. We have a mother, we have a father, we take birth. But there's a difference, that we are forced to take birth. So why are we forced to take birth? We are forced to take birth because of karma. So we don't really have a choice. We don't, as the soul, we don't get up in one day and say, okay, let me pick up this family and appear in their house, give them the benefit of my association. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that based on what the soul, the embodied soul or the conditioned soul desires and deserves, it is attracted to a suitable womb. And then helplessly, it is forced to take birth. Krishna does not have to take birth because of the force of karma. But yet he takes birth. And that's what Kunti Devi is saying, is that's what is bewildering. So to make this distinction, we, the acharyas, they try to explain, and we generally follow that also. Like we don't call Janmashtami as the birthday of Krishna, right? So we call it Krishna's appearance day. So it is appearance day because Krishna chooses to appear on that day. And it's a disappearance day because Krishna chooses to disappear on that day. It's not his birthday, it's not his death day. For us, it's a birthday and death day because by the force of karma we appear, and by the force of karma we die. Exalted Vaishnavas who are very dear to Krishna, they also have that, they also imbibe that quality. So that's why when we talk about Vaishnava Acharyas, we say it's the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, appearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, disappearance day, because they also, by the mercy of Krishna, they acquired that. So Kunti Devi, you have to remember that now she's putting herself in the shoes of a person who is looking from outside in. And then he's seeing Krishna taking birth, he's seeing Kamsa taking birth, he's seeing Jarasandha taking birth, he's taking Arjun taking birth, and he's considering everything, each one of them to be the same. But the difference is that Krishna chooses to take birth and the others do not. So so Kunti Devi makes three more points in this verse, which very closely mirror 4.8 Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. So she says Vasudevasya Devakayam Yachita. So in response to the prayers of Vasudeva and Devaki. So it's the whole the Paritranaya Sadhuna, that he's coming there for the benefit of his devotees, then Kunti Devi says, Asya Kshemaya. Akshasyamasya means for the welfare of Devaki and Vasudeva, which is again Krishna is appearing for the benefit of his devotees, and Vadhaya cha Suradosham, that he appears to kill those who are envious of the Devas. So it's the Vinashaya cha Dushkritam. So the point that Kunti Devi is basically making over here, that one of the other reasons people say that you appear is for the welfare of your devotees, because you want to please your devotees, and also you want to destroy the non-devotees. That is why the unborn appears to take birth. Okay, any questions, comments on this?
Prabhuji, I'm just trying to understand, like, this flow of her prayers. Like, so basically, she first, like, she said that, like, I'm a female. I'm not, like, I'm not able to understand you. And then she's talking about. So is this an extension of that? Like, how she is that why she is bewildered? All this bewilderment, and she cannot understand the reason for his.
It is so. It's an it's an extension to that, but the flow of the prayer, and it's a very good point that you build up. It actually imbibes a lot more than just the bewilderment of Kunti Devi. So by this time, she's actually preaching. And when we end the prayer of Kunti Devi, we will go through the flow of the prayer. So how she begins with establishing the position of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then she, as you're mentioning, she talks about her own position as insignificant, and by extension the Jiva position, which basically is, as we discussed when we were doing this verse, which is Sambandha Gyan. Then after that, she talked about the process of how this insignificant person, and to some extent I'm giving away the thunder that we'll do this a little bit more systematically, since you asked the question. But then later on she talks about how this insignificant person can approach this great personality, and that is Abhiday. So what was the first process, if you remember? What was the first process that she gave? What was that verse, the famous verse that you recited when she started giving the process to approach Krishna?
Krishnaya Vasudeva, hearing and chanting.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. So she talked about the process of Nam Sankirtan, and from Nam she went on to Nam Roop. That Pankajamaline, Pankajanetraya. She talked about how Krishna has lotus eyes. So meditating on Krishna's name, meditating on Krishna's form, meditating on Krishna's qualities, Nam, Roop, Gun, Leela. So she talks about the process by which the devotees can approach Krishna. So everything is going well till that point. And then the reader, he reaches that point, and the question is that what's the gap between theory and practice? So somebody comes to you and then says that you eat properly, you exercise, and then you will be healthy. And the person goes and he tries to eat properly, he tries to exercise, he's still sick. And he comes back and he says there's some gap between the theory and practice. So the gap between the theory and practice is the so in us we understand the theory, but for converting the theory into practice, what is the impediment?
Mercy?
Lethargy.
Lethargy. Okay.
Mercy, Prabhu.
Mercy. What else?
False ego.
False ego. So the impediment is combination is the anarthas, right? So it's the anarthas in us that are making it difficult for us to put this theory into practice. So all of us, at some point, when we took to Krishna consciousness, we were attracted. We were attracted by Krishna, by the holy name, by the philosophy, and then we made this resolution that we'll become devotees. We'll serve Guru Maharaj, we'll serve devotees, we'll serve Krishna, we'll perfect our life, right? And then we start practicing, and then because of our anarthas, there are impediments, right? So most of our life is anartha nivriti. Most of our life is fighting these anarthas in order to, it's not that we lack the philosophical understanding. Philosophical understanding is very, very simple. Krishna is God, you serve Krishna, bas. That's the perfection of your life, right? Now getting this theory into practice, we have this huge wall of anarthas. So the rest of the prayers of Kunti Devi is addressing these anarthas. What is the cause of bewilderment? So I think the question that Achyuta asked was that what are these verses referring to? So these verses are referring to both anartha and anartha nivriti. They're referring to the causes of the bewilderment, and Kunti Devi, in the mood of a devotee and a preacher, is also offering nivriti for us. That how can we address this anarthas? So like they say that the root of all the offenses in chanting is inattentiveness, right? So the root of all the anarthas in Krishna consciousness is not having complete faith. So what's that verse in the fourth chapter, I think, right? Maybe fifth chapter. Agyascha shadadanascha sanshayadma vinashati nayam lokasti naparo nasukam sanshayatmana. And Krishna says agyascha shadadanascha. He says two kind of people, don't get me. Agyascha shadadanascha. That people who are ignorant and ashadadanas. People who do not have full faith in me. Sansaya. And then of the two, he picks upon one and then he beats upon that person. He says, Agyascha shadadanascha, shadadanas vinashati. Of the two, that person who doubts me, vinashati. He gets destroyed. Nayam lokasti naparo. Nor in this lok, nor in the next lok. Na sukam sanshayatma. That for the sanshayatma, there is no sukham, there is no happiness. So in a way, this verse puts us in a precarious situation. Now we know that when we take to Krishna consciousness, we are making spiritual advancement. But Prabhupada, in the purport of that verse, he says that once you understand that Krishna is God, but don't follow it through, then it's not that Krishna is beating upon you, you beat upon yourself. You get up in the morning and then you say, Krishna is God, I should dedicate my life to Krishna today. Right? And you morning, you try and chant your rounds, you end your rounds and you say that, I don't believe oh, it's 9:15. So I don't believe I dedicated my life to Krishna today. Right? And it gets from day to day, it becomes verse to verse. And the worst thing is that you learn to live with it. That's really the verse. So that's where the bulk of Kunti Dev's prayers are to help us to cross over this nivritti, this anartha, to get to the stage of anartha nivritti. She has already stated the prayojan, right? She stated the prayojan up front. So what is the result of worshipping Krishna? She said that Krishna gives you complete protection. That was the prayojan she stated, right? She gave her own example. So many times we were in so many kinds of anxiety, and you came and protected. And Kunti Devi is not saying that I'm special, it happened to me. She's saying that it'll happen to us also. That if you have faith in Krishna, regardless of whatever situation we are, Krishna will come and protect us. So she's given Samman, she's given Abhidaya, she's given Prayojan. Now she's basically she's giving us the practical insight into perfecting our Abhidaya to reach the Prayojan. If it's so let me stop over here and see if there are any questions or comments.
So Prabhuji, again, like, what is the reason for bewilderment for us? Like,
anarthas, right? It's our own anarthas.
Okay.
That and they may be different for different people, but the general category of anarthas. So anartha could be, Prabhupada says that the anarthas that generally infest, and different people may have it different, but Prabhupada is speaking from perspective of an acharya, says the anarthas that generally infest the people is that they think that there is something useful in this material world. So the asat trishna, so they're still thirsty for something that is asat, that is temporary, that is taking away our attention and our determination. But then there may be many other anarthas. What is or let me ask you, what do you think is one of the other common anarthas that is probably prevalent amongst, so we are not talking about the atheists, we are not talking about the agnostics, we're talking about practicing devotees. What is one of the common anarthas and common cross-cutting anarthas?
So,
Pride, bro.
Pride.
So I know lust is basically the root of all other anarthas. Like lust gives rise to, if it's not satisfied, it gives rise to anger. If it is satisfied, it gives rise to greed. And then if greed is again satisfied more, then it gives rise to pride. So
right, and then ultimately it results in our fall. So we have lust, anger, greed, pride. They're all coming from a platform of false ego. And false ego is coming from, what's the platform from which false ego is coming?
Envy.
Offenses towards devotees and Krishna.
Okay, so we're getting warmer. What's the offense? What is the root offense against Krishna?
Desire to enjoy, independent of Krishna.
Thank you. So that's the anartha, that we want to be Krishna, right? So that's the root anartha. That's why we came down to the material world. That we looked at Krishna, we saw that he was having a good time, and then we say that why we should also have a good time. Why is he only the one having a good time and independent of Krishna? Because everybody else is having a good time also. It's not that when Krishna has a good time, he beats up other people. Everybody else is there having a good time. But we wanted to have a good time independent of Krishna. So Krishna says that independent of me, not possible over here. But let me make some arrangement for you. And that's how he creates that's how he creates the material world. And that's where we are operating. In that premise, it's the fabric of our existence in the material world. And it's the so when the devotees take to spirituality, So sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? So for most of the people, that that is what enlivens them. That how much can I enjoy? That's what enlivens them, right? But for us, that is the challenge. That our existence over here is predicated on a desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, and our spiritual practice is predicated on a desire to enjoy as a servant of Krishna. And that's where all the tension comes. So when we execute this process of devotional service, then it's a whole separate discussion, right? We execute the process of devotional service with the understanding that even without us recognizing our disease, the medicine will cure us. Prabhupada will give the example of going to an expert physician, and he does not explain to you that your vata or a kalpa, kapha is bad, or he'll give you a medicine. He'll say, take 3 tablets a day, and we take it. We have faith in the physician, and we get cured. So the process of sadhana Vaidhi bhakti is that we undertake the process, we chant 16 rounds, follow the regulative principles, serve the deities and devotees. So when we are chanting, we are not focusing on that, may my desire to enjoy separately from Krishna be addressed. Right? All we are saying is that Krishna, can I serve you? In 26 Second Avenue, Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture. This is early days, somewhere in 66, 67, and he was speaking very heavily against the Mayavadis. That they are greatest offenders to Krishna, these impure Mayavadis and all that. So there was a devotee, or not devotee, he later on became a devotee. So he was like, he thought that Mayavadi was a person. So he asked another person, and he said, who is this guy Mayavadi? He seems to have really upset Swamiji. Throughout the lecture, he was like criticizing him. So the other person said, no. He said, this Mayavadi is this and all that. And this person later on became a devotee. And then he says that later on I realized that Srila Prabhupada was not speaking about the Mayavadis who are sitting in Varanasi or Gaya. He was actually speaking to us, that we are all Mayavadis, that we think we are devotees, but ultimately, so the Mayavadis are basically, they have this conception that we want to be God, right? The only thing is that they are following it more explicitly. We are acting upon it implicitly. So he says that was a light bulb moment, for which happened several years later on. But he said, then I recollected that lecture given by Srila Prabhupada. There is not the Mayavadi, that there is a Mr. Mayavadi sitting somewhere that Prabhupada is upset about. He was talking about the Mayavadi in each one of us. So actually, I've forgotten the question that Achyuta asked, but I'm hoping that it answered your question.
It did, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Some other thoughts, questions, comments?
Prabhuji, I have a question. So I think it was in the last class or maybe before that, we talked about how we are all mixed devotees because we have our own desires and we are still doing the process, but we all have other independent desires. So what is the hope that it can happen, that there can be a breakthrough and we could go from that spot to becoming free from all the desires and getting pure devotion? I mean, what is even the scope? Could it be something that could even happen in a lifetime, or something we could even think about, aspire to?
Thank you. It's a practical and a good question. So yes, so we are Mishra Bhaktas, and Mishra is different flavors, or maybe all of the four flavors. So what's the hope, right? So the hope is that the process that we follow purifies us despite us. That the process is more powerful than the practitioner. So it's not that we are reaching within us to pluck out our anarthas, or like a yogi, we are sitting and performing severe austerities to separate a subtle from a gross body. We've already accepted the fact that we're not able to do that. But what we are trusting is the process. That we follow the process that we have been given, which is serving the holy name, serving the devotees, and the other. Particularly, what I like is the 5 potent forms of bhakti that appear in the Nectar of Instruction: serving the holy name, serving the holy dham, serving the Archa Vigraha, serving Bhagavatam, and then serving the devotees. So we follow this 5 potent process, and each one of them is doable. And the process basically purifies us. So that's our hope. The second part is will this process get us from a stage of Mishra to Shuddha Bhakti? And the answer for that is no, it will not. So why do we follow the process? So how do we become Shuddha Bhaktas? How do we become pure devotees? What are your thoughts, Namapriya? How do we become? How does one become a Shuddha Bhakta?
I think it has to be Krishna's mercy.
And?
Letting go of our desires. But then how does that happen? That is the question.
Well, so you were right. It has to be Krishna's mercy. But Krishna's mercy appearing through his devotees. Right? So we can never become Shuddha Bhaktas on our own. So regardless of how much chanting that we do, and all the 5 potent processes of bhakti, everything that we do, that nowhere in the scripture it is promised that this will lead to Shuddha Bhakti. What the scripture promises is that it makes us eligible for pure devotional service. And ultimately, when it is awarded to us, it is awarded to us by the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. So that's the hope that we have. That as we follow the process, we become eligible to attract the mercy of the devotees and of Krishna, and that mercy is what will ultimately take us from Mishra Bhakti to Shuddha Bhakti. Now, that does not mean that we neglect the process of Sadhana Vedi Bhakti, saying that I'll just wait for the mercy to happen. Prabhupada would give the example. That's kind of like saying that I won't work, I'll just wait for my lottery ticket to be cashed. Or he would give another example that I won't study, I will just wait to get an honorary degree. And Prabhupada says both of them happen. There are people who get rich by winning the lottery, and there are people who get honorary degrees. But they're few and far in between, very, very rare cases. So what you do is you study, you work hard, and then if the circumstances are right, then these things get awarded to you. So that's the process that we follow. We process Sadhana Vaidhi Bhakti with our sincerity, with conviction, and then we wait for the mercy of Krishna and his devotees I was trying to think of that verse. There's a very beautiful verse in the Bhagavatam. And maybe somebody knows it. The translation is that one who patiently waits for the mercy of Krishna while tolerating all the trials and tribulations. For him, bhakti becomes, or pure devotion. Tattenu kampam susumekshamano bunjan kritatma. Tattenu kampam susumekshamano bunjan vipatma kritam vipakam. Yadvak vipur namaste Jivetayo mukti pade sadevak. Right, one of Prabhupada's favorite verses, and Tattenu Kampam. This verse is such a powerful preaching verse for devotees that once I was talking to, I forget now, but a Prabhupada disciple, and he was saying that he had actually formed a group, and he called the group Tattenu Kampam. The group was and they basically their main meditation was this verse, because this verse encapsulates the progress, the situation of a devotee like us. So it is chapter 10, canto 10, I think chapter 14. So it
10:14:8, Prabhu.
I'm sorry.
10:14:8, Prabhu, I think.
10:14:8. So it comes in the praise of Lord Brahma. So in the Brahma Vimohan Leela. So I would strongly recommend that since you have asked this question, to read the verse and definitely read the purport.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So a little bit over time. My apologies for that. So we'll end over here. Vanchakalpatarubhayasched kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, Tagore Premanand. Hare Krishna. Achyuta Mataji, are we staying back? Do I stay back to talk to you, sir?
Yeah, actually, two things, Prabhu. One, this coming Monday is a Memorial Day.
Uh-huh.
So we may have to skip because of Gita Nagari and Sadhu Sangha going on.
I see. Okay.
So second is about the survey which we have provided to devotees.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did get the reply.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to know if anyone want to talk on this or any opinion they want to share. Basically, the ask here is, Mataji's and Prabhu's, as the pace which we are going right now is a little bit on a slower end. So we would like to have your opinion if we have to increase the pace. What it results is a little bit limited question answer sections.
And also limited
to the analogy.
I reduce the time that I speak on each verse. But the advantage is that we do more verses, and then we are able to. So our aim is to do the Bhakti Vaibhav, which is the first 6 cantos. So we are able to do it within a reasonable amount of time. I think at the current rate that we are doing. And so Achyuta and Prem Kishore and I, we had a discussion. So we're doing about 5 verses a session. There are 5,500 verses. So it'll take about 13 years. So I'm more than happy to have your association for the next 13 years, but it may not be practical. So I think that's where this discussion came up.
Prabhuji, if I can give some feedback, I do agree that the Q&As can be limited because like just towards the end of the class, maybe have just like for 10 minutes or something for questions. And if there's more, we could always email you with questions. So that is really a nice, I mean, that's a feedback that I would like to give.
Okay. Limit the Q&A to you're saying about 10 minutes.
End of the class, 10 minutes. And maybe in between one break, but not more than that. Yeah. And then if anytime we can email the questions, I'm thinking.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mataji.
So
Any
the
other
Prabhu,
thoughts?
reducing meaning that we will lose all the nectar, because going at a rapid pace is good, like doing 25 verse, as we're saying in the email. We will lose a lot of content, because the idea is not only to do it, but to understand and to immerse ourselves in the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. I know 13 years is long, but if we still be alive, we don't know.
So towards that, we were discussing that, Prabhu, it's a very valid and good point. So going forward, we would like to have it as a two-way approach here, right? It's not only like Bhayahari Prabhu discussing from the verse point of view. In addition, we would like to share few kind of preparatory questions where interested devotees, if they can prepare and come back, so that it will help you and also the kind of questions you may ask, and it will be more diligent and more expressive in learning Bhagavatam. That's what we discussed on that. Is it possible to go towards the direction in sharing those questionnaire? Already we have it, but I'll again, going forward for each section, these are the ones which we will be sharing that, so that whatever answers, or you can come prepared, basically. It's a two-way approach. So that way we are not losing that nectar. And I do agree that probably the analogy and examples may be at lower end than what we are having right now. But also it's a give and take kind of a thing. With this space, we may not hit all key prayers at least. So it's not like immersing in the Shastra, in the Bhagavatam right now. We want to, but we need to get prepared and come back, right? So for example, this Kunti prayers now, this is the fourth session we are having right now, right? So if we would have prepared everyone for Kunti prayers from this 18 to 42nd verses, all of Kunti's prayers could have been done in one session. And everyone will be having their own analogy, like if the read up has been done and examples. So everything is from Prabhupada's and also from the purports what we have, right? So just a thought. Saran Prabhu, you want to chime in?
Prem Kishore Prabhu, I agree. I think I'm also thinking in the same line. Like we have for Bhagavad Gita, we have sections of verses, like themes for every chapter. They have this famous acronym for Bhagavad Gita for every chapter. So instead of discussing verse by verse, shloka by shloka, it is more on the theme of a collection of verses. And the homework for all of us will be to go and be prepared to come to the class with that theme.
Yes, that's the ask.
Is that the?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I agree with you.
So Gaurasundar Prabhu, what you're recommending is that so we use a thematic approach, so we don't do verse by verse. We just talk about the theme and correlate it with the verses. So a chapter may have one theme or two themes, so we just look at it. So like Bhurijan Prabhu does in unveiling the lotus feet of the Lord, he doesn't go mostly verse by verse, but he'll say that the next 6 verses talk about the mood of surrender to Krishna, and then he moves on to the next theme. So something like that you're recommending?
Yes, Prabhu. Maybe you can explain a little bit on the theme. You don't need to explain on each verse. It can be more a class on the theme rather than the class on the verse. And the homework for us will be like, you can tell us for next class, I'm going to cover this theme that covers these many verses. And we come prepared reading it so that we are ahead with the questions and all that. And probably when you talk, most of our questions will be answered, and the pending ones we can ask you. Like Ram Priya Mataji said, the last 10 minutes, we can ask those pending questions. So it will be more work on us than on you.
Okay. So wanted to hear a little bit from Paramatma Prabhu.
When I saw the survey, I was initially I was thinking that we are going to have an additional day, or let's say have the class every day after. But I guess that will not be possible for everyone. The fact that we have to cover so much I was surprised when the calculation was done and it came up to 13 years. I think that's too much time. So I thought the suggestion that just came forward, I can't remember the name of the devotee, sounds like a very good one, that we do our homework. I think that was like quite a bit lacking. I remember in our first time when we did the course, you gave us assignment to do. We were supposed to study the purports and like that. And I did quite a bit of work then, but during these sessions with homework not being stipulated and like that, I sometimes come, unprepared. So I think it makes a lot of sense that we come prepared, and you go through a number of verses. The suggestion of 10 minutes of question, you can break it in two instead of one. I mean, we have an hour and a half every 45 minutes. After the first 45 minutes, we can have a few questions, and then towards the end. But somehow or other, I think it'll make quite a bit of difference if we come prepared. We have our questions prepared in advance. We can post the question, up on the chat. And one way or other, right? If we can increase on the number, of verses, I mean, I so much appreciate, you. I see that you are doing so much preparation of your, on your own. Your depth of presentation and realization is, I mean, so much. I think if we do the same kind, I mean, we could never, prepare as much as you, but if we do our homework and like that, and all of us come well prepared, I think, we can cover, quite a few more verses. That's my little comment.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So who else? We have Prema Manjari. Any comments from you?
Prabhu, just a comment on Paramatma Prabhu's. In the context of preparing ourselves, So right now with the 2 classes we have, the gap between the first class and second class is just 1 day. So our Wednesday classes, let's say we have to read 25 verses and the purport. Maybe it's not enough time. So we may consider moving the second class to Thursday instead of Wednesday, so that we have 2 days in between to prepare ourselves.
Okay.
For that, I mean, like we know that we'll be covering, say, for example, 50 verses in a week or something like that. So we can probably read it up during the weekend, and for both the classes, because Thursdays, I remember, I don't know if it works for Prabhuji or not. I don't know. I think he has something.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's also the Zoom. Tomorrow this time is about Bhakti Shastri in Chicago. Yeah.
I'm okay either Wednesday or Thursday, but I think Prem Kishore is right that we don't have this video available on Thursday. So maybe
yes, Prabhu, even the week's preparation is okay.
Yeah, so I think the point that Chuta is saying that we have the unit share at the beginning of the week, and that basically sets the cadence for that. So maybe Prema Manjari Mataji is not around, or she is. Mataji, any thoughts from you?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. I think what you're doing is good, because it's more deeper understanding I can go through. Because for me it's very hard to understand, even though like one purport going through more deeper, for me it is good, but time and all, it is like very shorter, and the most of the chapters, cantos we have to go through. So whatever the devotees, all of the devotees are okay, I'm okay with that, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Wish, Prabhuji.
Leeta Madhav, any thoughts?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, me, whatever Paramatma Prabhu said, it's okay. Just the exact question, divide it into 2. Like after 40 minutes, maybe 7 minutes of questions, and at the end, like 8 minutes.
Okay. So I guess I think there's one devotee. I don't see the name. Not sure who it is, but would you like to share, Prabhuji or Mataji? Yes.
Whoever is calling from the phone, the 301 number.
301. So.
Can you share your input?
I can tell who that is.
So basically, what I'm hearing is 2 things. One is that we do unit wise. So unit means we do thematically, and even in thematic we do it with the Purv Swadhyay. So this is very, very almost identical to the MIHE format, that they do it thematically along with Purva Swadhyay. Purva Swadhyay basically is the Sanskrit term for Purva means before and Swadhyay means study. So they expect the devotees to study ahead of time. They give the questions, they answer the questions, so that they study. The questions are basically geared towards the themes, but they do it chronologically. So sometimes the themes develop disjointly over the chapter, but for obvious reasons they don't do that. They'll take like the first 15-20 verses or however many they are, and they'll extract the theme, ask the questions, and then basically that's the thematic analysis. So we'll follow that. If you permit me, I would like to complete the prayers of Queen Kunti, because we are kind of almost done. And to be honest with you, it's they're very, very dear to my heart. So I just wanted to finish the prayers of Queen Kunti. Maybe we'll take a few more sessions, and and do it. We have 14 verses left there, and it will also give me some time to reorient myself and and prepare for the thematic presentation. I'm going to take help from Prem Kishore and Achyuta in terms of the question and answer part of it. It'll give them some time also to prepare for that. So if it is okay with the devotees, we'll continue. We'll finish the prayers of Queen Kunti, and then we will switch to the format that I think we are all agreeing, which is thematic with prior preparation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just one last thing. Just like you said for prayers of Queen Kunti, you want to stress a bit more. If there is any part in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we will cover, that you think that it is important to do like verse by verse, I would suggest that we do it, because going fast is good, but if there is thing that we want to go deeper, we should go deeper.
It's a bit of a, thank you, Prabhu, but it's a bit of a slippery slope, because it's difficult to, I mean, the next is praise by Bhishma Dev, right? Praise of Bhishma Dev, they're so wonderful. So, and then after that is instructions of Vidu to Dhritarashtra. So each of those verse, they're like, they're like verse that you can discuss for. So, so it'll be difficult, right? So I think what we'll do is we'll stick to that, unless, I guess you're right, unless there's something that that Srila Prabhupada really wants us to tease apart and do it. But I think what we'll do is we'll try and stick to the thematic, to the thematic part of it. And the first two cantos, of course, are denser than the rest of the Bhagavatam, but not by a large, not by a large amount. I mean, if you look at the earlier discussions, we were doing 2 to 3 verses. Especially when we were in the first 2 chapters of the Bhagavatam, we were doing 1 or 2 verses. Actually, if I remember that one verse, 1.3.27, that one verse we did over 3 sessions. So for me, it'll be a slippery slope. That we'll if you allow me to use my discretion too much, what we'll do is that we'll stick with the thematic one, and again, whatever the devotees say, if you want some particular section to be delved deeper, then we'll try and switch to that.
Yeah, it's okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, and I especially want to thank Prem Kishore and Achyuta Mataji for helping reorient there, and so we'll end over here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand. Hare Krishna.